everyone, how you doing? It's Matt, and today I'm going to show you how I built this mallet. Hey, so I have a couple cutoff pieces. I have one of walnut and I have one of maple, and this is a really nice maple. But the walnut, you can see, has a lot of defects in it. So there is a huge split down the side here where you can see the sapwood from the new wood. There are a lot of knots in here. There are defects through and through this piece. But let's get started. So you can see here I'm just squaring up my stock. This is the maple. I'm just using the table saw because it's easier. I'm trying to get all four sides square in parallel. Same thing with the walnut. As you can see here, the miter saw isn't long enough, so I need 3 hands to use this, and clamps work perfect if you need an extra set of hands. So what I'm doing here is clamping that side off so I can actually cut this, because the walnut was a little longer than the actual bed of the miter saw. So you can see here that I switch up and make sure that cutoff piece doesn't go flying because I need it. And after this cut, you can see how it's split down the middle right there. That's not the best piece of walnut, but we can use it for sure. Here I'm cutting off the edges and squaring them up as much as possible before I run them through the joiner and the planer. But I'm just using the table saw for this, makes it a little easier. You can use circular saw, you can use miter saw, or any type of saw. You can use a hand saw to get these things square if you need to, but I'm just doing it easier using the table saw. So I'm just checking these, making sure they're pretty square, looking at them, make sure I didn't mess anything up, and then I go over to the joiner, which this is the handle piece that I'm going to need to use the bandsaw for this piece, and here are the sandwich pieces of the maple that I'm running through the joiner. And I'm going to joint 2 sides so I can get at least one 90-degree angle. After I joint all these boards, I'm going to run them through the planer, just so I know that they're even and parallel through the thickness and the width. But this really takes a lot of time, so I sped almost the entire process up throughout this video, just so you can see it. Now here I'm trying to get the measurements correct for the planer and run these through until I get these even sides. Now I'm just checking to make sure that the thickness is good and even, and I bring it back to the miter saw. I bring all the pieces back to the miter saw to get those nice even joints. With most mallets, you want a angle on it so you can strike your chisels or any of your tools easily. With this one, since it's not going to be used as an actual usable mallet, we're just going to keep them at 90 degrees just so this project goes a little faster. So now I'm on the bandsaw and I want to cut the handle out just pretty easily. Here I noticed that the bandsaw wasn't set up properly, and I probably should have checked that before I started to use it. This isn't my bandsaw, but this is just one of the things you need to make sure all your tools are set up properly. So now I'm going to cut the inside pieces of that mallet, setting the degree in line with the mallet handle as you saw me mark that, and I'm doing the same with a slight angle on it because the mallet handle has a slight taper to it, so I'm making sure that that is in line and the mallet handle fits perfectly in there. And you can see here that's what it's going to look like. So I want the mallet handle to stick a little bit proud of the top of the head. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to set it up nicely and then marking the bottom of it so it's a perfect fit once I hammer that handle in place. So I'm just cutting the walnut. So I just brought it back over. Going to assemble it. Going to throw some glue on there, sandwich it, clamp it up for a while. And then after all this, while the glue is drying, I am going to sand the handle. And I'm not going to let you see the entire process of me sanding. But what I did was I went through 60 grit on all sides. You know, I cleaned it off, I brushed it off and blew it off with the air hose. And I did the same process after I finished with 80. Then I went up to 120, and I believe I finished off with 180. I'm using Titebond 3 type glue here. I may switch to Titebond 1 because one of the channels I like to watch is Blacktail Studios. He always recommends using Titebond Type 1 because with his tables that he builds, he needs some really strong tensile strength, and his Titebond 3 may not be as strong as Titebond 1, especially with walnut. With other types of wood or other species of wood, it should be fine, and with this piece, it should definitely be fine. I've never had any issues with it, but it is recommended to use Titebond 1. So I just breezed through the sanding. It did take a long time, especially going through those 4 grits of sandpaper. But this is all glued up. I'm just checking the sides to make sure. I might need to scrape it out, chisel it out a little bit if there was any squeeze out, but I did clean it up a little bit. Now what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that all the edges and all the sides are perfectly parallel one last time. And now I am putting a little chamfer on the edges just in case the hammer or the mallet is set down on the side. It doesn't chip anything out. I like to leave a little routed edge on it, but I don't have a router table, and putting your table saw 45 degrees just to get a nice chamfer on it is it's a good practice. Same sanding process as before. All right, so we just finished sanding this down. I'm not going to oil it yet because we are going to burn some inscription in it, because this is going to be a going away gift for one of our colleagues that we've worked with for a couple years. After we put an inscription on here, going to oil it up real nice and then present it as a gift. This will not strike any chisels, but I'm sure it could. These end grain is pretty tough. Yeah, like I said in the beginning, this is some maple sandwiched, or some walnut sandwiched between some maple, and it looks really nice. And it's going to look even nicer when it is oiled up. But we're going to wait for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's pretty quick. This project took a few hours to make, but it was fun. I learned some things also of how I'm going to do the next mallets. But yeah, thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. Take it easy, and we'll see you later.